Well, welcome back to the second half of the season 7. Another exciting episode, of course, on issues and answers with yours truly, Honorable Valencia Stovall. Where today is Monday, December the 5th, and it is the day before the runoff elections for the U.S. Senate, and also in South Fulton, the city of South Fulton, they have a runoff election as well. And we'll definitely talk about that a little bit later in the show. But you're listening to the new WCEG Network, WCEGTalkRadio.com. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. And I have to give you all this disclaimer. The topics and opinions are those of the show host, which is myself, and guests, and not of WCEG Network. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram at WCEG _talk _radio and at WCEG Network. And I thank you all for your continued support, and also make sure you tell a friend. Well, today we have a jam-packed episode. We will hear from Mr. Ron Mack, who's an author, educator, and a historian. We will also discuss my family's recent discovery of our African tribes. We did a reveal party, so I'm going to talk about that. And then, of course, the upcoming runoff elections. And, I have to end it with that. Say what? So, yeah, we're going to be talking about all of that today. Well, our last episode, we heard from the voices of our students at Seven Pillars Career Academy. They talked about decreasing crime. Also, we had a discussion about voting. They shared their views on the issues that were important to them. And of course, we plan to have more conversations in 2023 with our young people because they're our future and they have a lot to say, a whole lot to say. And sometimes they're not given a good platform to be able to say it. So that's what we want to do here on Issues and Answers. All right, now let's go back in history to a dark time in the world, the time of slavery. Well, my special guest today is Mr. Ron Mack. He's, like I say, he's an author, an educator, and a historian. He is the author of A Voyage of Despondency, African Holocaust series books. So he has a series of books that he's written. And I want to welcome, hello, Mr. Mack, and welcome to Issues and Answers on WCEG Talk Radio.
Hello, Mr. Stovall. Thanks so much for having me. And I'd like to, if you don't mind, shout out to my brothers, the men of Alpha Valve, who just celebrated our 116th year. So we had our Founders Day yesterday. So happy Founders Day to the brothers. I see the U are a Delta. And I remember the Sphinx has always guarded the pyramid.
All right. That's another show for another day.
Yes.
So, I met Mr. Mack, I guess maybe it's been maybe a year or so ago at Seven Pillars.
Yes.
But we got a chance to talk a lot more this school year where I was doing some, some substitute teaching and everything. And we got to talking about African history. Y'all know I love history. And he shared with me that he had written some books. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. He said, you're going to have to purchase one. I said, okay. I didn't get down the first time. Then I came back again to the school again. He's like, did you get my book? I was like, no, I'm going to get it. So finally, before the break we just had, before Thanksgiving, before there was another break, the fall break, I said, let me go ahead because I don't want to keep walking around the school and having to hide from because I hadn't gotten that book. So I went ahead and purchased the book, and I have my autographed copy here for everybody. And woo, when I got to reading that book, so Mr. Mack, please share with the audience, first of all, a little bit about yourself and how did you decide to write A Voyage of Despondency, African Holocaust, and also make it into a series, a book series.
Thank you, Mr. Stovall. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky. I did my undergrad at Eastern Kentucky University. And after I finished school, I went to the military. I did 18 years in the military. And when I exited the military and I was considering a second career, I did some substitute teaching. This is when I was in Colorado. I also did some substitute teaching. And I was really disturbed at the reading levels of our young Black boys. We had young Black boys who were in the 4th grade and were reading on a kindergarten, 1st grade level. And so, as you know, Mr. Stovall, I have a deep love for our people.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just complaining about it and talk about it, I decided to do something about it and be about it and become an educator. And so while I was still in Colorado, I took a class to work on my certification. I already had my bachelor's. And one of my instructors, he was this old Southern gentleman. I don't think I need to elaborate on that. And so just to get on his nerves, we had to write an essay almost every week. So just to get on his nerves, I wrote everything about Blacks, from a historical perspective. And this is how Void to Despondency came about. It started out as a 3-page essay.
Okay.
And I was divinely inspired. I have to say that of all the essays I have written, I was inspired to blow this into a full-fledged novel. And this started in the year 2000. So this project is over 20 years in the making.
Wow. So
I dug deep. I took that 3-page essay and I expounded to a 500 plus page novel. And as you know, Miss Green, she's one of our colleagues at the school, and she was my, agent, my how can I say this, my advisor.
Okay.
And she said, since there's so much, let's break it up into a 3-part series. And so that's what I did. And I just released book 3 this past break. I said my whole Thanksgiving break every day, perfecting and formatting book 3. The whole story had been written.
Okay.
But I had to go back, and my wife and I edited line by line because I want to put out a good product. And so I wanted this, Mr. Stovall, to be on the level of a Richard Wright or Alex Haley, those type of authors. This is my goal for this story.
Wow, 20 years, that says a lot. Sometimes we are impatient when it comes down to projects or ideas or things that come to us. And just knowing that this is 20 years in the making definitely adds a little bit of inspiration to those of us who may think that we waited too late, on something that we've been working on. So tell us a little bit about, so like I said, I read book 1.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't got to book 2. I had to take a break because there was some heavy stuff in there.
Yeah.
It had me on the edge of my seat, and I know you wrote the book as if you were actually present. You did a great job because as you're reading it, it's almost like I was there,
right,
during the whole entire time. And it's filled with some twists and turns. And of course, it makes you question what you think about slavery, what you thought about slavery.
mm-hmm.
It also takes you on the emotional roller coaster, y'all. So when y'all get ready to read it, get ready. Hold on tight. So, Mr. Mack, tell us a little bit about these series of books and what is it that you want the audience to take away after reading these books?
Well, one thing I definitely wanted to mention, Mr. Stovall, that even though I had written the whole story, I did not want to release it until I actually stepped foot on the continent of Africa and actually stepped foot on the place where ancestors went through before they were put on the ship. So in 2017, I took my first trip to Africa, to Senegal, with Brother Derek Bozeman, and a group of people. And we actually visited Gorée Island, and I stood in the door of no return. I think I showed you the picture. Mm-hmm. And so it was like I wanted to get approval from the ancestors.
Okay.
Am I doing our ancestors a good, am I doing them a good job, so to speak? I'm trying to find the right words to say with this, Ms. Stovall. Am I meeting that standard of approval when I tell the history of our people? Mm-hmm. And so, and it wasn't until I got back, that I engaged in the process of releasing book one out, and I visited the continent 3 times, and I set foot on 5 different countries.
Oh, wow.
Senegal, of course, Egypt, Ethiopia, Kenya, where I got a chance to interview Dr. Sarah Obama, which is Barack Obama's grandmother.
Oh.
I was on the actual compound where his father was buried. Yes, and I believe we got to show that to you when you want to see it. And got to step foot on Tanzania. What we call it Tanzania. They call it Tanzania.
Okay.
So, it's ironic. I was just thinking about this. It's ironic that this book is released at a time we get the pushback on our history with this propaganda of critical race theory, because the certain individuals have their way. This didn't happen.
Right.
So I guess I want to get the story out there, and I want our people to realize the strength and resiliency of our people, because the first slaves were the Native Americans here on the North American continent when the Europeans came. But look at where they are, and look at where we are. Even, as you know, Atlanta was the seat and a stronghold of the Confederacy. But we've had a series of Black mayors since Maynard Jackson. So it's something we went through all this, but it's something about us that's just more than meets the eye, so to speak. And I want to bring out a couple of things about the book real briefly, if I can. Like in book 1, you probably come across the scripture reference in there, right?
Yes. So
I'm not going to read them, but in book 1, I have the scripture reference of Deuteronomy chapter 28:68. And in book 2, I have the scripture reference of Deuteronomy 28:41 and 48 through 50. And I will say with all boldness and conviction that particularly the Old Testament, that's us. That's us in there. In fact, an African country is mentioned during creation in Genesis chapter 2, verse 13. It has the same name today. It's Ethiopia. Where to find the oldest bones? Ethiopia. So I guess a part of my objectives, and I even do a series, I do a presentation called Africa, the Bible, and You. I use the scientific context, talking about the mitochondrial DNA, historical context, geographical context, and of course the biblical context, to prove that those people in the Bible, that's us. That is us. So I was just inspired to do this, divinely inspired, God, the ancestors, what have you, out of all the essays I had written, this one I want to bring it to a full-fledged novel, really get the story out there.
So I know the story starts off, and I'm not going to, of course, tell everything about it because they got to read it, but just kind of giving them, piquing their curiosity about, what is it that they will find in there. I know it's a story of a young man going on the voyage. And I guess that's where the voyage of despondency comes from. And all the obstacles that come, to him, and a lot of decisions that he have to make, what we would call moral decisions as far as whether he should and should not do certain things. And it really affects his family, with their relationship with his family. So and like I said, I hadn't gotten into the book 2 yet.
Now, let me tell you this, Mr. Stovall. If you think when you start reading book 2, I want you to brace yourself. I've been told by my readers that book 2 is a very hard read. Some people had to put it down. Even Miss Guillen said she had to put it down and come back to it. Because it really, really, really get detailed. I get really raw with it. Like I said, this is deeply researched. These things that happen, I didn't make it up. I don't have a diabolical mind like that. But book 2, especially even book 3, you're gonna have all kind of emotions on those on those books because when you look at what happened to our ancestors,
Right.
it's and I've been knowing about this for a long time, even in my undergrad college days. So I guess I'm not as taken back by it now as I was back then, and the people who read it, how they're taken back by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you talk about history, and especially with slavery, and there's so much going on with reparations, and and being able to read this book, it really it kind of jogs your memory for those who may not have seen the movie Roots, and it's been so long, long ago, and then some of the other movies that have recently come out. But when you reading it in the words on paper, and then like I said, you trying to imagine what the ancestors were going through, and all of that, and then even how cruel, all the cruelty that actually happened, during slavery. It says, yes, we need our reparations. It's past overdue.
Absolutely.
All of that has happened in the past that some people want to forget. And even though our current generation wasn't there, but you're benefiting from those things that the slaves actually worked for and tilled the ground for, and everything else that happened. The manifestation of that is what the colonizers, their descendants are benefiting from right now.
Absolutely. And two things I want to bring out is that I'm sure you're aware, Mr. Stovall, that the United States gave reparations to the Ashkenazi Jews of the Holocaust. They didn't have to have any research and this, that, and the other. They gave them reparations, which I don't understand because this country had nothing to do with their Holocaust. But we gave them reparations. But we have to go through all these changes and so forth when it comes to us.
Right.
There's got to be a research committee, blah, blah, blah. The crime is committed. Pay for the crime.
Right.
And in addition, well, I'm not going to go there right now. I'm going to hold back on what I was going to say about the Ashkenazi Jews, but I'll just say this: anybody can be a Jew. Jews just a person who follows the religion Judaism, but anybody cannot be a Hebrew.
Okay.
You understand? In other words, you can claim the Jewish religion, but you cannot claim to be of the descendants of Abraham. There's a big difference, and history tells us that. And truth be told, the Ashkenazis and the Nazis, they're one of the same people. A good example is the movie called The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. He looks just like the people that were persecuting, the young man that the boy that put on the striped pajamas to be with his friend who was a Jewish boy, be his friend. He looked just like them, that he was mistakenly killed because there was no difference.
Wow.
So I can go a little deeper on that, but I know we're short on time here. We get ready to hit the 30-minute mark, but.
So what else? Tell me a little bit more about this voyage of despondency. There's a little bit more to kind of pique their curiosity some more. So they said, yeah, let me go and get this book right now. I need to do it right now. I don't need to wait later. I need to do this, get this book, because this man was on Stovall's show and he was talking about this voyage and how, the different things that were happening, different acts that were happening. I mean, like I said, it really needs to be a movie. I'm looking forward to see it to be an actual movie on the movie.
I hear that a lot.
That's how good it is.
One thing that young people, Ms. Stovall, are so far removed from the struggle. I know this book is not good for the children we teach. Maybe in 8th grade, maybe in the 10th grade, maybe the 11th. But I think that to read this book, to read this story, it touches on something, and you appreciate those who paved the way for us to be where we are today. For example, you hear people say that, well, I'm not going to vote, doesn't make, I feel like giving them a Will Smith slap, because people paid a heavy price for you to have the right to vote. So every election I vote. It's an attempt to where we came from and where we are right now. And to others, like for example, you read how to justify slavery, we would consider animals, wouldn't consider humans.
Right.
But at the same time, you're going to sleep with somebody who is an animal. So is that person, is she an animal or is she a human? So if she's an animal, you commit an abomination. If she's a human, you also commit an abomination.
Right.
So what is it going to be? You know, and I don't want to give a lot away without, you know, I don't do a spoiler, but the protagonist in the story, as you read in book 1, and you read how his father has the deep, dark secret that his mother wanted to reveal. That does not get revealed to book 3.
Oh, okay. All right, because I was looking for it. I was looking for it at the end. By the time I got the end of book 1, I was like, oh, but what was the secret? Why they can't tell it? Where they gonna tell it?
Now, there's some hints. There are some hints. Especially when he was keeping guard on the village that they raided. There's some hints there. But the 3 children that grew up together, there's more of a connection between the 3 of them than their childhood friends.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it all comes out in the wash in book 3.
Y'all, this is almost like a soap opera. You're looking at soap opera and you have one scene, then you know you got to look at the next day because you don't want to, you got to look at the continuation, then you look at the next day, then you look at the next day. So this is what it almost is, especially when you pick up that book. You're not wanting to put it down because you think you're going to miss something.
And so far, Ms. Stovall, between book 1 and book 2, I've got 25 5-star reviews. All reviews are 5 stars. So, and if you know, your audience, go look at the reviews on Amazon. Pull up Ron Mackin book, and you'll see. I know you had a book 1. Here's a book 2. I don't know if you can see it or not. So that's book 2. But go look at what the people are saying without me giving it away, because I don't want to spoil it. But it puts you there. You don't just read it; you experience it. You experience it.
So if they're interested in purchasing these books, give them some instructions on how can they get in contact with you, or where online can they find these 3 book series.
Well, you can get it from Amazon, and but if you live in the Metro Atlanta area, you can get it directly from me, and I will put my email address in the chat and a phone number, and I give you 25% off the Amazon price.
Okay. See that now, y'all even get a discount for getting it straight from the author.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll make sure we post that onto our different media handles that we have for WCEG. So on Amazon, they can search for A Voyage of Despondency, African Holocaust, or would they search up under Ron Mack?
Either one.
Okay.
Either one. And you'll see all 3 books. Like I said, I just released a published book 3, so you'll see all 3 books. And I will have my author copies within the next couple of days. So you can get those directly from me at a 25% discount.
Okay. Trying to see. Is that NM Mac?
Yes, it's nmrmac@gmail.com.
Okay. NMRMac. Okay. @gmail.com. Okay. All right. Put this in here for 25% discount. All right.
and make good stocking stuffers for those who believe in Christmas.
Okay, that's nmrmac@gmail. Okay.
Yes,
All right. Let me put your number in here. 453-404-453-7068.
Yes.
Those who end up looking at the recording again. Okay. So, Mr. Mack, I really, really appreciate you taking time to join us. Appreciate you writing the book, sharing, and also sharing the book with us. I encourage
Thank you
each
for
one.
having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I encourage each one of you to make sure you go and purchase the books. There'll be some good stocking stuffers for those who love African history and those who might not love it and need to know about it. You can also get those books for them as well. And also,
if they purchase all three at the same time, I'll give an additional $5 off.
Oh, okay. So y'all getting a real deal now. So the first, if you purchase one book, you get a 25% off. If you purchase all three books, because see, that way you can keep reading. You have to read one, you go to the second one, then you read the third one. And then if you do that, you get an additional $5 off. So that's a great deal. And we appreciate Mr. Mack offering that discount to the listeners of Issues and Answers. And also this book makes for a good book club discussion. So some of you all who have book clubs, you can definitely start, and then you can make sure you reach out to Mr. Mack. He might decide to jump in on some of your book club discussions.
Would love to.
That you all are doing. So, those are some other ways that a lot of book club people that are out there that have their book club started and always looking for a good read. Then a Voyage of Despondency, an African Holocaust. It's definitely a book that you all should definitely read.
And one thing I'd like to mention before I go, Ms. Stovall, the subtitle, African Holocaust. See, we talk so much about the Jewish Holocaust,
right?
But their Holocaust is minuscule compared to our Holocaust. 6 million cannot compare to the countless millions of ancestors who died because of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery in general.
Right.
So we have our own Holocaust.
Yeah.
And we need our reparations.
Yes. And that caught my attention when I saw African Holocaust. I was like, you know what? It sure enough was an African Holocaust.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we always hear about the Jewish Holocaust, but it was way worse than the Jewish Holocaust.
No comparison. No comparison.
Yeah, none at all. Well, Mr. Mack, do you have any other final words you would like to leave with our audience?
No, except, thank you, Mr. Stovall, for having me on. Know yourself, people. Coming to the knowledge of self, because you're more than what you've been told. They know it, but you need to know it. Read that Bible. You're in that Bible. Even during creation, Genesis chapter 2, verse 13. So you got science, you got the Bible. Science tells you the oldest human bones found where? Ethiopia. What's mentioned during creation? African country, Ethiopia. Even with the mitochondrial DNA, the Eve gene, do some study on the Eve gene. It's only found in the Black female. So the Black female is actually the mother of all mankind. That's science that was determined by a white geneticist, Dr. Rebecca Can. So this is not just something I'm just throwing at you, making it up. It's science. It's been proven. Know thyself.
Wow. Okay. Ooh, that's some heavy stuff there, y'all. I think I could be able to finish out the show. Ooh, I'm telling you, that's some heavy stuff. So, it's great. It's a great feeling when you know your roots. And I've taken the ancestry DNA previously, but that particular one only gave me a range of the countries my ancestors lived in, like Cameroon, Benin, Togo, and Mali. So it gave me like a percentage. The higher percentage was Cameroon. And then recently, my family, the Stovall-Dodson side, received results from the African ancestry for my dad's mother and my father's, and my dad's mother and my dad's father's side. So, but the interesting part about that with the DNA, with African ancestry, is to be able to trace back your actual African tribe that your ancestors were a part of. And so with the male, it was interesting when I was reading and researching that the male actually would give you two DNA results. One from the mother, and it's mother to mother to mother to mother to mother. So anybody that's some kin to, like my niece, nephew, my cousin, and all of them, the mother stays the same. And then the second DNA for the male that's able to come from the male is the father to father to father. Now, like if I took the African ancestry DNA, I will only be able to get the matry of the mother paternal, the maternal DNA results. I won't be able to get the father DNA, the paternal DNA results. So that was very, very interesting with that. And so that's why we chose my dad, who is the oldest living sibling out of all of his brothers and sisters. He's the oldest one. So we asked him to brave and take the test. It was a real simple test. And because we did the Matry clan, which is the mother clan, and we did the Patrick clan, which is the father clan. And so they gave us 6 swabs. And so we had to swipe it the swabs in his mouth 6 times, and then put it into the kit for the mother side. And then we had to do the same for the father side, and we put it in the kit for the father side. So we sent both of those off to African Ancestry. So you all know it's 2 different ones, ancestry.com. That's that one I was taking about, doesn't go into detail. And then you have the African Ancestry .com that does go into the detail of actually telling you what tribe that you're from. And so we waited patiently to get those results back. I was checking the email, it seemed like every day. Now I know they said it's gonna take about 4 to 6 weeks. So about 3rd week, I was like, nah, maybe they might send me in early. So, we just busy checking because we're excited. So in the meantime, we decided that we were gonna plan an African tribe, like a family reunion, but we're gonna do the traditional family reunion. We actually gonna reveal the tribes of our ancestors on my dad's mother's side and my dad's father's side. So we send out information to our kinfolks there was some kin on my dad's mother's side, which is a Dodson, and then on my dad's side, which was the Stovalls. And so we had a meeting, and we came up with some games that we wanted to play to be able to help everybody try to reveal and guess what it is. We didn't tell anybody. Only like 3 of us knew what the actual tribe was. So we made everybody else guess. So and it was intergenerational. My niece, she came up with a bingo game. So she listed some different facts on some various tribes. So nobody could really guess. And then at the end, everybody kind of thought they knew, and then we revealed it. And then my cousin, she did the scavenger hunt game. So she hid clues around the room that we had to find. So one clue led to another clue, led to another clue, led to another clue. And so everybody was like, oh, what is it? What is it? So then we revealed. So on my dad's mother's side, the Dodson side, so my grandmother was Mandy Dodson. And so on her side, which would be her mother, her mother's mother, her mother's 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 mother, all the way back, is the Mende tribe of Sierra Leone. And so we had already done, those of us who knew, we had already done some research and kind of talked about the tribe. And on my dad's side, which is Crowder Stovall, which is his dad. So Crowder Stovall's dad's dad, all the way back, is a part of the Yoruba tribe of Nigeria. And so it was so interesting. Now I'm gonna tell y'all the twist in that one about the Yoruba tribe. So what we did was I said, okay, we need to find someone from both tribes to be able to come and talk to us. So what we did was we actually planned, and we bought some Native African dishes that we served, and we also served soul food. And then we talked about the kind of similarities between some of the dishes. Like, the Africans, they had yams. Okay, their yams is nothing like our candy yams, that we eat here. So, but they still would consider the same type of name. And so we had fellowship and talked about that. And then we also were able to invite, I couldn't find anybody at that time from the Mende tribe to come and talk to us about the tribe. So we played some videos, some videos I found on YouTube and kind of talked a little bit about that tribe. Now, that one interesting thing about that tribe is that they were the African tribe that was on the Amistad boat.
The Mende, yeah.
Yeah. So they were, for those who might not know, y'all got to go. Y'all had seen that movie. I saw the movie, but now since I got something related to it, I'm gonna go back and look at the movie again. So
Ms. Stovall, I'm not sure about the Yoruba, but the Igbo is the derivative from Hebrew.
Okay.
So there's a connection. I'm still digging. There's a connection between the Igbo and the Hebrew.
Okay.
And there's a map of 17, I can't think of the year, but there's a certain part close to Nigeria. On the map, it's spelled Juda.
Okay.
Judah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
As in the lion of the tribe of Judah. Judah, one of the sons of Jacob, Israel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. It's deep. It's really deep.
Yes. And so when we so I was talking about the movie Amistad. So you all have to go and look at it, but short version, because I know we'll have a whole lot of time. We got about 15 minutes, so a whole lot of time left. But this was a tribe that were taken from the shores of Africa, and they were it was a Cuban captain, and his intent was to take them down to Cuba. Well, of course, you all know at that time that slavery had been outlawed, especially in the United States. And so they overthrew the captain. They kept him, but they killed everybody else that was on the ship, the other crew members on the ship. And the ship ended up going, he ended up navigating it. He told them he's going to take them back to Sierra Leone, but he was lying. This is the captain. And he ended up navigating into the American, the U.S. area. And so they ended up bringing the ship into shore. And he thought that because he had the slaves on there, that the U.S. was going to be on his side. Well, it ended up not being that way. They actually had a trial, and they went to trial, and the Cuban captain was found guilty of violating the law of having slaves, and he was ordered to take, and then he had to take them back to Sierra Leone. So, go ahead. You muted. You muted.
If I recall, I think it was John Adams that represented the slaves from the Mende.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. You're right. So that was, like I said, it's good that you know your roots, because now it makes sense. A lot of times we read about history, and unless we're able to connect the dots, it doesn't make any sense. It just looks like it's a story that was told. Well, now I can say, oh yeah, that's probably why I'm always fighting. No, I'm not physically fighting y'all, but I'm always, battling. And so it's for things that's the right thing to do. It's in my DNA.
There you go.
I got to fight. So hey, not fighting physically, y'all, but you all know people who know me, they know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Standing up for what's right.
Social
justice, and not backing down. Yes, social justice, yes. So then now shifting over to the Yoruba tribe. Now this is what's amazing. Now at first I didn't too much believe or understand about ancestral spirit and how the ancestors play a part in what we're doing even now until this particular situation happened. So I had been involved I had a friend that I met 9 years ago that actually was a part of the Yoruba tribe. I didn't, and he took time to explain to me about the tribe, because I had 1,000 questions. I told him that he was the only African I knew that I could ask all these questions with, because I wanted to know, because some of the stuff we read in the book and some stuff just wasn't making sense. So I said, well, why not ask the person that's originally from there? And he was very nice, because he answered all my crazy questions that I had, and I took the time. So still not knowing, down the road, 9 years later, I was going to find out that I'm really connected to that particular tribe. So when I was a state representative, I was, because all the information he gave me, and I was like, I don't think we ever recognized that tribe at the state capitol. I said, well, we're going to do it anyway. And so I introduced a resolution that identified and recognized Yoruba Day, Culture Day at the state capitol. And I did that for like 2-3 years straight, still not knowing that I was a part of the Yoruba tribe. We did a culture celebration as well in Riverdale the first year. Then the other 2 years, because of COVID, we did an online version of it. I still had no idea. I mean, I was just engrossed into this tribe. Didn't know why. Then once we did the test and they had brought, and the test came back, and then I looked at the results. I said, Yoruba, I couldn't believe I put it down. I said, I think my eyes crossed up. I said, let me read this again. And it said 100% on your father's side that you are a part of the Yoruba tribe. So if nothing else, I have a testimony all by itself about how the ancestral spirits work through generations. Like I said, I had no idea that I was a part of the Yoruba tribe. I had been doing all these things to expose the tribe here in Georgia, had been doing projects and programs, had been talking to some of the kings and over in the Yoruba land. Had already started planning on starting a tourism project to be able to bring people from Georgia to there, and looking at how we could work with them on their agriculture, to be able to do imports and exports, the fashion. It was just so much. And I was like, how did I know what to do all this stuff? But not knowing that was, you're right, it was part of my DNA.
So let me ask you this, Mr. If both your parents are deceased, can you still be able to get an accurate assessment of your ancestry through African ancestry?
Yes, because like for you in your case, you would go and you would take the mother and the father. So it's going to, because that doesn't change. It never changes. Doesn't matter, how far down you are, and they're able to match up those DNA results based on all the other DNA they have in their database. So they have thousands and thousands of DNA in the database of different tribes. So that's how they're able to actually narrow it down to what tribe. Now, we don't know as long as like what state, like in the Yoruba land, I don't know what state we're from, as far as the different states that actually are the Yoruba land. And then when I was talking to my friend who actually recently got appointed as a chief. So he's the chief of his of 2 areas where he actually grew up. So now, before he wasn't a chief, now he is. So even a lot of stuff that we're trying to do and plan on doing now has a little bit more meaning as well, because now he's of the particular title. But what I was going to say was, even with that, with you, like you said, doing that, it doesn't matter. It's the father, mother. And the interesting thing is that he told me that Cameroon, before it is like it is today, was actually a part of the Yoruba land as well. So when I saw the Cameroon I mentioned earlier from Ancestry.com, and even he said a little bit of Togo and Benin as well, because the Yoruba people were the ones that were travelers. And he said because they started in the Nile River area and then moved to what's present day Nigeria. So they didn't start in Nigeria; they just migrated there as well. And
so you said they started all the way from Northeast Africa all the way to West Africa.
Right.
That's interesting.
And then he told me also that, and then like the Homie tribe in Oyo was also, all of them were together with the Yoruba tribe. So they were mixed in together as well. So it's very interesting, and then like when I went to see Woman King, and of course I saw Wakanda, but Woman King, and they was talking about the Dahomey tribe and everything like that. So, I mean, like I said, it's different when it's just a story.
Right.
Now you're able to connect.
Experience it.
Right, you experience it and you're able to connect the dots.
And it's funny you mentioned, this is really strange. I really got to find out a little bit more about myself, because in the book, the crew actually existed. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. And I have them migrating from northern part of Africa to where they are now.
Mm.
But there was an actual tribe called the KRU that really fought hard against slavery. They fought to the death before they allowed themselves to be taken into slavery.
Wow.
And that's interesting.
Yes, it is. And so, so for everyone who has not taken the DNA, the African ancestry DNA, I'm not getting paid to do no plug for commercial, but you know, I really was really impressed with it. And they also have a Facebook page. Like, so once you do it, you can join, be a part of their Facebook page. But it's AfricanAncestry.com. And they also take trips, I think at least 2 or 3 times a year to different parts. And then in some areas like Sierra Leone, because it's a part of ECOWAS, which is a group of states, African states that have grouped together when it comes down to economics and stuff like that. But they also offer citizenship. And so not all the states in the part of the ECOWAS area does it, but I know Sierra Leone does it. And if you become a citizen in one, that automatically allows you to take citizenship in the others as well. That was something else I found out. So it's very interesting, and that way when you're traveling back and forth, and you know being able to travel as a citizen of that particular country, that makes a difference as well. And then if you decide you want to go over and start investing over there, you know, to have some investments, you know, all that's on the table. So I'm just excited, you know, about it. I know we only have about 4 minutes left. So you all, if you have it, even if you don't have the, you know, it does cost some money, but it just depends on what you consider money. But we were able to do it. I appreciate my cousins and everybody and family for us being able to get together and actually do that African tribe reveal. That was the first time I ever heard anybody doing it. I just was sitting here thinking, I said, oh, we ought to do a party. Not a traditional family reunion, but we want to know our African roots and why is it that some features that we have, we want to know where they come from. They didn't come from the slave master. We want to know where our DNA actually came from. So like I said, I found out, okay, I know why I'm a fighter now in the Mende tribe. Okay, when it comes down to Yoruba, Yoruba people that are, they're the ones that are mostly, when it comes to education-wise and very intellectual, not saying nobody else is, but you find a lot of them in those different fields. And, you know, so it's just, I'm excited, y'all. Y'all just wait. I'm going to keep y'all abreast on what y'all see me doing as the time goes on with my newfound African tribes, both of them.
I'll be right there with you.
All right, come on with us. So as we get ready to close, you all know I have my Say What section, but I'm going to talk about tomorrow. It's Tuesday, December the 6th. It's the runoff election for the U.S. Senate. And also I mentioned to you all about, if you live in the city of South Fulton in District 7, City Council, there we had candidate Linda Pritchett was on about 2 shows ago as a candidate for, and she made it to the runoff. So at that time we were saying we interviewed her, but she's in a runoff. So tomorrow her election will be finalized. And so making sure that you'll be voting. So you got 2 positions you'll be voting on if you live in the city of South Florida. Everybody else, you just have 1, which is a U.S. Senate race. Politics, as you all know, is a part of our lives, whether you like the players or the people that's in it or you don't. It's still a part of what we do every day. And everything we do is centered around policies and the people who implement them. So that's why it's important to know who you're voting for and making sure that you're exercising that right. Stay involved is what I have to tell you, and keep asking questions to those people who are elected. So don't have it that they're elected and you think that's it. So like after tomorrow, don't think that's it. No, once whoever wins, you all need to be contacting them. Say, now look, I voted for you the first time, and I even came out and braved the weather, stood in line to vote for you the second time. Absolutely. This is what I'm expecting from you. So you all know I have my hashtag called Do Your Job. That's what it's called, Do Your Job. And that's what we want the elected officials to do, is do their job. Make sure you check your voter status on tomorrow so you don't go to the wrong polling precinct. Remember, early voting, you will be able to go to anywhere in the county where you live. On election day, which is tomorrow, you have to go to your actual polling place. If you go to the wrong place, there's a chance your vote will not count. So this is how you find out. You go to mvp.sos.ga.gov, or you can Google my voting page, Secretary of State. And what you're gonna do is put in your first initial, your last name, your date of birth, and the county where you registered to vote. And once you put that in, it'll pull up your voter page, and you can click on it and find out where precinct you're supposed to go vote at. Remember, don't go to the early voting precinct you did for the general election, because you're gonna be turned around. It's a chance that that's not your election poll. You must go to your own precinct. And if you get there and they don't see your name or something, you can ask for a provisional ballot. Now, they would double check after the election or during that time. You may have to come back to verify if that provisional ballot is not able to be verified. But those are just some other tips I want to make sure I gave you all.
Good
all right, so let's get into the say what. Okay, only after 5 p.m. Okay, there's a new provisional ballot rule. Only after 5 p.m. Okay, so you all just go to your right polling precinct, and that'll decrease that possibility of your vote not being able to count. All right, and make sure you take your own water, take you some food. You can do that. I know you heard a lot about nobody can give you water. You can accept water as long as it's not within that red sign that says no campaigning beyond this. But the people that work at the polls can issue out water. There's no law against that. So don't let that stop you. You might have to stand in a little line, and it's raining tomorrow probably. So just go prepared. Go prepared. That's all you can do. If you're elderly, and handicapped, you can move to the front of the line. Don't stand in that line. If you're elderly or handicapped, you are able by state law to go to the front of the line. All right, now say what? All right. So did you all know that you can adopt an embryo? Yeah, I'm talking about an embryo. This don't have nothing to do with politics, y'all. So you can adopt an embryo even if it has been frozen for 27 years. So I just had to be looking at TV. Yeah, say what? And this couple adopted an embryo that had been frozen for 27 years. And right now the baby has been born. She's 1 month old. Her name is Molly Gibson. And the couple was from Tennessee. But her embryo was frozen in October of 1992.
Wow.
And for some reason, they said not until now could her embryo be unfrozen. And it stayed frozen till early this year, February. So that's the say what by itself. When I saw it, I was like, oh, I got to put that down on my say what for this week. Because I couldn't believe it. I was like, an embryo. So you know me, I'm wondering what kind of effect would that have as that child grows older, that she was frozen so long. You know, you see stuff on TV on the Sci-Fi Channel, you know, people been frozen, and then of course they awaken after so many years, but that's on TV. But to think of embryo, so you know what, for some of y'all who not ready to have children right now, go ahead and freeze those embryos, and then maybe someone in the future, if you're not ready, somebody else in your family may be ready, they might be able to adopt that embryo. But just think about adopting an embryo. You think about adopting children, but an embryo, man, okay, we have to talk about that one later. But I just want to put that in there. Say what? Yeah, say what? Okay, I was trying to make sure I had put the note up here so I wouldn't forget it. Okay, now, next say what? How much money does Black America spend with those companies, I wonder, which pulled the contract from Kanye? How much does Black America spend on NBA merchandising? You know, you see a lot of people, they hoods on, their jerseys, they are not cheap. They cost some money. Do you think if $1 billion was withheld and spent elsewhere, those companies and franchises, would they feel it in their profits? If that $1 billion that was spent, you know, with those companies that initially was supporting Kanye, and then those that are actually supporting the NBA, would they pay attention then? Yes, they would, because it's all about the profits.
Mm-hmm.
And then deciding that what they can and can't say, and then you're gonna tell me one of them had to apologize. Apologize for what? Why we can't get an apology? Why it's okay to say one set of people need to get an apology, and another set of people, black folks, don't get no apology.
It's ironic with Kyrie. All Kyrie did was repost a video, but see what it is, Mr. Stovall, and I alluded to that earlier. They don't want the truth about them to come out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they shut down Nick Cannon. All Nick Cannon said is that black people are true Hebrews, and that's why they went after him.
Right, and it's amazing how, as long as you're doing and dancing how they want you to dance, and how, when I say they, I'm talking about those that have the money and the control of the social media, of the media, not just social media, but the media. Because what we see on TV, what we hear on the radio, when I say media, I'm talking about TV, radio, everything that you're going to see or hear with your ears. When those people have control over, they can control what you can and can't say. And when you start talking out of turn, they're gonna cut your money, and tell you no, you no longer need it. At first you were okay, they were patting you on your back. Go. Yeah, you the best player. Oh, you the best artist. Oh, you the best TV host. Oh yeah, we love this person. Soon they come out wrong, they don't agree with it. Oh no, they no more good. So we have to watch that as a people, as far as how we spend our money. And when they decide that they're gonna censor those people who we feel and believe are doing the right thing, then we got to censor them, which is hitting their pocket. So would you say that there is an economic warfare that's going on in Black America, especially on those athletes and artists who speak their own truth? Say what? Yeah. So, all right, here we go again. Get down to the last say what and make my quick announcements, and we're going to be out of here. So here we go again on this topic of voter suppression. Y'all know last time I talked about the record that was broken for the general election runoff, the general election, early voting for the general election. And then now we've broken some more records for the runoff early voting. So the question still is, and some people say it might be debatable, is there really voter suppression based on the record-breaking numbers that we've seen during early voting? Could it be that Senate Bill 202 is not having a negative impact as purported by some people? I think it's fair to say if there are issues people feel strongly about, then they will vote, like we have seen with them with this early voting, especially during this primary, during this runoff, general election runoff. So if something that's gotten into people that they would stand in line for a runoff election, it's not a general, this is the runoff election with only two candidates that are on the ballot. Whether you want to vote for the Republican or whether you want to vote for the Democrat, that's your choice. I'm not debating that on this show. But that tells me that if it's an issue that people are strong enough about, just like during the time when we couldn't vote like we're supposed to vote it, that issue was strong enough that then they said, no matter what, if I got to be hosed down or if I got to be spit on or whatever it is, I'm going to vote. So we got to stop saying, oh, it's voter suppression. Yeah, we want to be fairly being able to vote, but we have to put into our people's mind that if the issue is strong enough for you, you got to go and vote. It don't matter what it takes. And so what has been proven is that that's a fact. If the issue is strong enough and people are compelled to go, they're going to go and vote. They're going to stand in line for early vote now. Long lines. This wasn't even election day. This is early voting. But they found a way to get to those precincts, and they stood there in line and they went in and voted. So that's a little part I'm saying, and that's my say what on that. So we're going to see the proof in the pudding again on tomorrow, December 6th, as far as what actual record-breaking numbers were actually held for this election. All right, we're getting down to our announcements. Okay, tonight, if you all are not busy, join us on Reaching Across the Aisle on Clubhouse at 7 p.m. You can search for Reaching Across the Aisle. It's what's needed for real issues to have real solutions. So it's no more Democrat, it's no more all Democrat, all Republican. No, we got to reach across that aisle because we have issues that are not party issues. They are people issues. And the more that we're able to look at people issues, then we can come to some solutions. So that's what Reaching Across the Aisle is all about. You can go to the website, reachingacrosstheaisle.info. Take a 5-minute survey. It's just going to ask you some general questions about your thoughts on reaching across the aisle. And also give you the information on the clubhouse. We'll be on at 7 o'clock tonight. Also, I'm a co-presenter for Making a Connection. What's the 411 in Clayton County? Of course, we meet twice a month until February 2023. And the participants, last time they went on a road trip and they toured around the county to see and hear about the organizations that service them. On Tuesday, which is tomorrow, we will discuss the appointed boards, which are selected by the elected officials. So those who didn't know, a lot of the appointed boards, these are boards that the elected officials have created through their resolution, whether it's city, county, and even school board, and they appoint citizens to serve on these boards to make decisions. Now, all the times the citizens qualified to be on those boards, I have a different opinion about it. Some of them should not be on the board because they'll have a clue about what's going on. But sometimes they need puppets on there to do and say and vote how they want to. And I say they, I'm talking about the elected officials. Put puppets on appointed boards to say and do what they want them to do to push things along. This might not be the best interest of the county, city, or the school system. So we're, and with our Making a Connection, we're definitely witnessing the impact of these sessions. Some people who've been attending have never attended any city council or commissioners meeting before, and they've been living in the county for well over 10 to 15, 20 years. So what we're doing is bringing awareness to them about what your expectations should be about the government. All right, time has caught us. All good things must come to an end. This is our last show of this year of 2022. We will return on January the 17th in 2023 with new episodes. Some of them might be the same topics, but a different twist to them. But we're coming back for the new year. The goal of Issues and Answers with yours truly is to educate you on those things you might not think about unless you are in a situation to be concerned. And so today, well, of course, we had author, historian, and educator Ron Mack is talking about those things that you might not have thought about. But now we're in a situation where you need to be concerned. So make sure you reach out and get that copy of that book, or The Voyage of Despondency. And also stay safe until we meet again in January of 2023. And if you have any ideas for shows, you can contact me, reach out to me at contact@gostovall.com. Thank you so very much, and talk to you all. See y'all in 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Stovall.